Clear as mud. You ever heard that term? What does it actually mean? And we all know mud is actually not clear. So what is it about? And what does being clear about anything really mean? We're going to explore that today in this podcast. Hi, Jonathan from Live Life Coach. Are you or someone you know feeling stuck, searching for direction, or wanting a clearer sense of what's next? You're welcome to connect with me. Whether you're exploring practical next steps or seeking God's leading, I'm always open to a genuine, no pressure conversation. Welcome back. Today we're going to explore clarity and what it really means. And often when I was in a workshop, when I started my apprenticeship as a fitter welder, there was a foreman that I had that would, quite often he would say, "Is it clear as mud?" And what else do you say? But yeah, sure, it's fine. I've got that figured out. And to this day, I really didn't know what he was meaning, but it was just basically, I figured he was sort of like going, if you got that figured, got enough there to get going and get it sorted out. Come back to me if you really have to, but I don't really want you to come back. Just go away and get it done. And it's kind of is that thing. I mean, we all know mud is muddy, it's dark, it's dirty. You even with a set of goggles on, you wouldn't be able to see through mud. You'd see as far as those goggles are in front of your face. That's it. Mud is dark, it is thick, it is not going anywhere. And often in life we can feel like that. We can have this idea that things are chugging along, we can see what's going on in front of us, but really, are we clear about what we're doing? Are we clear about where we're going? And I've been thinking about that this last week or so with regards to just how I communicate, because communication is a big thing in terms of how you bring things across. And I was asked, somebody asked me, what does clarity mean to me? And it was an interesting question because if I'd really been thinking about it properly, I would have said it quite directly and quite poignantly to them. Because that's how they communicate. Whereas for me, I'm a storyteller. I like to go around a bit. I like to share a bit of information, say a lot of things without really saying a lot at the same time. And you may find that with my podcast. You hear what I'm saying, but at the same time, you sort of going, well, is that really clear? And you sort of question whether I had clarity. And it's like, yes, I do have clarity. I know where I want to go. I know what I want to do. But I do it in a bit of a more of an open plan format than what some others do. But often people will tend to have no real clarity around things. They sort of think they're going somewhere, they think they know what they're doing, but it's like they're wallowing around in the mud, they're walking along, they've got a short-term view of where they're going, but they're not exactly clear where that destination actually is. And that's a big thing that can be happening, is that you're going through each day, you're doing everything in a normal sort of way, and you think, this is going all right, we're ticking along, but what's your future plans? What are you actually looking towards that you are really working on? Do you really have a clear plan of the future? Are you really knowing where you are going? Because at the end of the day, that's the big thing. Often I think some people are just living each day. They don't really have that future plan in mind yet. They don't really know where that future is going to go, and that's fine. There's plenty of room to be able to change your mind, to be able to go on to a different thing, to be able to try different stuff. Particularly if you're a bit younger, it's always easy to be able to try new things, work on new areas in life, try different things. I've done many different things in my life. I've started out as a fitter welder when I left school, and that was mainly because I didn't really know where else to go. And I thought, well, I like making things, I like working with metal. I didn't like woodwork. The reason I didn't like woodwork was because I had a teacher in intermediate who criticised the way I said a word, and so that was it. Never liked woodwork again after that, because he wasn't very good in terms of way in teaching me and what I was saying. But I just decided I didn't like woodwork after that, but I liked metalwork, and so I got pretty handy at metalwork, and I was a pretty good welder. I did pretty well in the welding industry, and we worked really well, but I was bored. I didn't enjoy it, and so I changed from that and eventually got myself a job as a sales rep. Now, as a sales rep, I really enjoyed it. I found that I related to people quite well. I enjoyed the freedom that it gave me, because I was just given a car and told to go out, make your budget, away you go and do things. And I've spoken about it before, where I took the region from two of us doing sort of half the money that I did on my own, when the other person shifted positions in the business. And so that really was a great boost for me, and I really enjoyed that, and that led me into believing that actually I could go on and do other things for myself. And that's where I went on to go into business for myself, and spent over 20 years working in the audiovisual and security industry. And that industry was quite interesting. It's had a lot of good things. Technology was evolving a lot in the time that I was involved, and it was just really changing and carrying on. And I went from being just pretty much an analog installer, setting things up, to being basically a computer technician in some ways, because devices became well entrenched in the internet, well entrenched in needing computer setup and doing that sort of thing. And so you had to learn how to program things, how to really get things connected up, set them on the internet, get them going on Wi-Fi, get them going through all those services that people were now expecting as the years changed, and as we came into streaming TV, streaming music, all those things there. And so I had to be clear about how to do those things, and I had to be clear about where I was going with what I was doing, what I was providing for those people. As the years moved on, I realised that my future in that business wasn't clear. I wasn't seeing clearly. I was losing a lot of interest in what was going on, and really just wanted to shift on. And that's where I came into coaching, because it was one of the things that I found in my own journey, was that getting clarity about where I was going and what I was doing really made a difference to me. Being able to actually look at it and say, hey, what does my future actually hold? I had future plans, I had future ideas, but I was never really that clear on them. I've always had long-term goals. I've always been a long-term sort of thinker of, I want to put these things in place, be able to do this in the long term. And there's been plenty of times that some things haven't worked out for a number of years. I'm not really a short-term goal setter in a lot of ways. It doesn't work for me, and I understand that. But a lot of people, when they come to you, they want you to be doing those real short-term goal setting. What is it that you want to do right now? You've got to set that goal. You've got to put a time frame on it. You've got to make it happen. But the more I understand about myself and about how I process things, I understand that that doesn't actually work for me so well. And that's where being clear on who you are and where you're going really makes a difference, being able to understand how to work with that. And so when I talk with people, I often use language that is not bullet pointed. It's more of a story, it's more of a weave in, weave out kind of idea. And I work through things a bit differently. I'm an outward thinker. I like to verbalize my thinking, to be able to talk and work through it. And so some people are just want to, what's the point? Where are you going? What's going on? To help me get clear on things, I talk it out, I work through it, and I make sure that I've got that idea formulated as I'm going, rather than taking the time just to stop and process in my own head. I'll actually be processing it as I'm talking it out, as I'm thinking it out loud and saying things. But there's really a big difference between clarity and certainty. This is something that I think people can get confused, is that they think that with clarity will come certainty, and that's not the case. Certainty is pretty limited. We don't really have full certainty. We don't know what the next 5 minutes is really going to bring. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. The only things that we say in life are certainty are taxes and death. And so those things, you can certainly guarantee that one of those two is definitely going to come up and get you at some stage. And that's just life. That is for certain. But when we talk about certainty and the things that we're doing, we can never be fully certain. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up, in that they're trying to be clear about where they're going. They're trying to find certainty in what they're doing. And when you're trying to find certainty, it doesn't actually really exist. It's very hard to be 100% certain of anything. And it's The idea that we're in this mud, we're trying to get through, and because we're not certain, we stay stuck. We can't move forward. We can't see that far ahead because we're not certain of things. That then makes us struggle to be clear about where we want to go. But when we get clarity, when we understand what is going on and we go, right, this is the direction I'm going. I don't know quite how it's going to work out, but I've got a plan in front of me. I've got an idea, and I'm going to make sure I stick to that idea, and I'm going to move forward, and this is the outcome that I'm hoping for. And being able to do that, being able to be clear on your direction, being able to be clear on the plan, and be able to work towards it, makes all the difference. And then as you get there, things start to shore up and things start to become a bit more certain about how things are going to work. Is this actually going to work? Is it not going to work? And I think that's the thing, is that we all process things differently. We all work through things differently. I find a lot of people that I seem to have around me like that idea of having clear bullet point sort of things in place. They want those things stepped out. They want to have a very clear direction. I don't need that so much. I find I'm quite happy with a bit of a vague sort of idea going on, but within that I will have an end destination. I'm always, I can get clear about my starting point. What am I going to start with? What am I going to work on? And how am I going to move forward with it? I don't always know the middle. I'll know what I want the end result to be, but that middle part, I'm just clear on where I'm going. I'm clear on how I'm starting, but the middle part, well, who knows? That's going to be up to a lot of things, and that's where you start to learn, you start to grow and change things. And that's, I think, where I used to scare one of the guys that I used to work with quite a bit was, he would turn up. He was the kind of guy, he wanted that certainty. In my audio-visual and security industry, there's a lot of products that you get that you've never worked with before because technology has been rapidly changing, and so we'd get a new product and we'd be like, well, we're going to put this in for a customer, we've sold it, now we've got to make it work. And my philosophy was, I'll turn up with the product, I'll start installing it, I'll read instructions when I need to, and just figure it out as I go. Whereas my friend's philosophy was, no, take it home, put it on the table, set it all out, do a mock-up of it, understand it fully before he'd go out to the customer. And that's just the way we worked. His clarity came from putting it on the table. My clarity came from actually getting in there and doing it. And that's the thing. We all learn in different ways. We all have different ways of getting to our path of clarity. And when you understand that, and when you understand how you process, how you work through things, it really gives you that grounding to be able to move forward and to understand that not everything is going to be certain, but that you can be clear about where you want to go and what you want to do. And so it's one of those things that I think, by coming to talk with, say, myself as a coach, we shore up those ideas. We bring those things through to a point where you're clear about where you want to go, but you may not be certain about how it's going to work out. You may not be exactly certain how it's even going to start, but you can be clear and you can get a defined place that you're going to go. You get a direction where you're going to go. You can actually work those things out. As I say, we all work through things differently. We all process things differently, and that's where I think understanding your personality, understanding how you process things, how you communicate, how you think, the way in which you like to do things really helps when it comes to getting clarity. And often, if you don't know yourself, you don't know how you think and how you work, you can be muddled up. You can be thinking, oh, well, I should be doing it this way because that's how so-and-so does it. But that's not the case. We're not all the same. Within reason, we all have similar traits, but we all do things quite differently. Just because somebody has very similar attributes to you doesn't mean they're exactly like you. And I think we all know that. We know two people look the same. Everybody has something different. And that's the thing, when you understand what's going on, how you process things, getting that clarity can become easier, because then you aren't worrying about the things that you should be doing. You're not going, but so-and-so does this, and that's the way they work through it. But I just can't grasp that. I can't get a hold of that and figure that out. But I should be doing that way. Mate, surely that's how it should be done, because that's how they do it. And that's the thing, when you understand how you think, you can actually see and go, okay, actually that works for them, but for me, this is how I'm going to make it work. but it's always good to know how other people do it, so then you can put it into a format that helps them. And the other way of doing it is that you get somebody alongside you who puts it into the opposite format to you. So I'm working with some people on another project at the moment where I'm taking their strengths and balancing them against my strengths, because there's certain things that I don't do as well, and I know I don't do them as well. I've got the ideas, I've got the direction, but sometimes I don't pull it into bullet points, and so pulling it into bullet points is somebody else's strength, and so that helps progress things. Using other people and the things that they're good at can really make a difference in terms of how we work and how far we can go, because there's always limitations that we have, and if we're trying to work outside of those strengths that we have, then we can't go as far. You may say, well, why can't we go as far? Well, it's just a natural limitation. There's things that while we try and do our best, we won't always get there. We won't always find that right way to go sometimes. And when we have others helping us, then we really just seem to go forward even better, and it makes a huge difference. So if you're struggling for clarity, and you're sitting in that mud thinking, what's in front of me? I can see what's just there, but I'm really not sure where I'm going. If you're trying to work that out, talking to somebody else can really help get that clarity going, can really help you make that difference and really be a bit more sure about where you're going, have a little bit more certainty, not knowing exactly how it's going to work out, can't be 100% certain, but you can go, right, now I've got the direction, now I've got a plan, and I can move forward, because that's what holds people back. Not being able to be clear about where they're going, not being able to make a plan and being able to move forward, because they just aren't sure at all. They've got no clarity around what they're trying to do. They're just sort of stuck and going, I think this might be where I want to go, but when you're not sure where you want to go, then it's hard to tell others where you're going. It's hard to get other people on board and get them moving forward and be able to share with them. And sometimes, you might be that big picture thinker. You might have the overall aim and the overall thought going on, but you need to bring in that help for somebody else to help them put in the pieces in the middle, to bring it to a place where it does have those bullet points put in, so that your idea becomes clearer for others in the way that they communicate, the way that they think, and being able to do that. As a friend I was talking to said to me, it's a bit like having a shotgun, bullets scatter everywhere, compared to being able to take a rifle and it shoots straight down the middle of the target. That's the difference between being broad thinking, being bullet point direct with where you're going, what you're doing. Both ways are great, both ways have their place, but sometimes for certain people you need to be able to really bring it down and boil it down. And if you are that type that is a shotgun scattery type person, it still helps to bring it down and not having all those different ideas and all that different big blast, but being able to clarify and really go, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what I need to focus on, and this is what I need to do. And that's something that I need to work on as well myself at a lot of time, is I'll have all these ideas thrown out there and bringing it back in and clarifying it down, bringing it to all those little bullets shooting out, to bringing them back into one cohesive place. And all those little bullets, bullet points really, they're all points that need to be just brought in a line, so they're not scattered all over the show, so that it makes sense and so they can move forward. And that's what clarity is being able to make sense of things, being able to move forward, being able to go, I've got the clarity around what we want to achieve, got clarity about the direction I'm going to go. I'm not certain of the finish point, but I know that this is where I would like to go, and being able to take that and really make it happen, make it work, and work with it with others and really make a difference. So if you're finding you're lacking in clarity, you're feeling stuck and can't really see the future ahead, can't really figure out what's going on, you've got a lot of different ideas going through your head, then hey, having a chat to me may be what it takes, having a talk, working through things. I find that there's a couple of ways we can do it. One is you can have just a one-off clarity session and just talk about that specific thing that's bugging you at the time, and is this really where I should be going? It's been able to talk it out, thrash it out, figure it out, and really can help bring clarity and a bit of direction to what you're doing. Or taking on a bit more and looking at your personality, getting to understand who you are, how you think, how you work, how you're going to do things, so that when you come to these places where you're not certain, you're not got real clarity on things, you can actually fall back on your knowledge of yourself and go, okay, what do I need to do to be able to bring this into a clearer place, be able to bring this into something that's going to be much more legible, much more understandable, and be able to give me that direction and give me that clarity that I need. So, hey, I'm always here to have a chat. Love to catch up with you and work through things with you, help you get that direction, help you get that clarity, and help you find your purpose in moving forward in this life. So I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.